I know what I'm about to share may sound ordinary, maybe even a little small, but it's these small things that ended up changing my entire life. And I believe if you've been feeling tired, confused, or constantly pulled into things you don't truly want to do, you might just see a piece of yourself in this story too. It all started with something simple. I didn't know how to say no. I used to be the kind of person who was always willing to help, always saying yes. A dinner invitation, a phone call in the middle of work, a small favor, I would nod without hesitation. I thought it was kindness. I thought it was being a good person. I was afraid of letting people down, afraid of being seen as selfish, afraid of not fitting in, and slowly, little by little, I began to lose myself. I missed out on quiet moments with a cup of tea. I stopped having time for my morning meditation. I found myself more anxious, more irritable, more exhausted, and I didn't know why. Until one day during a simple chanting session, I came across a short Buddhist verse, "Do less." At first it seemed like just a passing phrase, but in that moment, it felt like a bell rang deep inside me. That's it. I had been doing too much, but not the things that truly mattered. And so began my journey to relearn a skill that seemed so simple, the practice of saying no to what doesn't truly matter. We say yes because we're afraid. Have you ever wondered why such a simple word no can feel so hard to say? I used to think if someone needs help and I can help, why not? But the truth is, we don't just say yes to be polite. We say yes because we're afraid. Afraid of disappointing others. Afraid of being seen as selfish or cold. Afraid of missing out even when we're not really interested. Afraid that if we say no, once we won't be asked again. And sometimes afraid of the guilt that comes with choosing ourselves. I remember one night an old friend called me close to midnight. I was exhausted. I had promised myself I'd go to bed early, spend some quiet time, maybe meditate before sleeping. But I picked up the phone anyway because I didn't want to seem rude. The call lasted almost an hour. He vented about an argument with his partner, his job, old memories. By the time we hung up, I felt even more drained than before. It hit me. Then I didn't say yes because I wanted to. I said yes because I didn't know how to say no. And just like that, moment by moment, I kept letting unimportant things steal time from what mattered most, my peace, my rest, my inner stillness. You see, in today's world, everyone is busy, but often we're not busy with what truly matters. We're just saying yes too much to too many things that don't feed our soul. We cannot find calm if we keep agreeing to every invite, every request, every notification, every distraction. And one of the most powerful lessons I've learned through Buddhist practice is this: saying no isn't selfish. It's the first act of compassion toward yourself. Step 1, know what truly matters. Have you ever noticed something? Many times we say yes to everything, not because we truly want to, but because we're not clear on what really matters most. When you don't know what your top priority is for the day, you're easily pulled into a dozen different directions. A message, a meeting, a favor, an invitation. Everything feels like it should be done, but in truth, all of it slowly pulls you further away from yourself. I used to be like that. My calendar was full, my mind was overwhelmed. But by the end of the day, I couldn't remember doing anything that truly felt meaningful. Then one day I came across a simple practice, and it completely changed how I live. Every morning, right after waking up, ask yourself, what is the one most important thing I need to do today? Just one question, but it made me pause. Think, choose more intentionally. I began protecting time for things I used to overlook. A slow breakfast with my wife, a walk without my phone, a page in my journal, a message to an old friend I hadn't talked to in years. I remember once talking to an elderly mother at a morning meditation group. She used to be incredibly busy: PTA meetings, volunteer groups, yoga classes, endless activities. She told me I thought I was living well. But then one day I realized I hadn't had dinner with my daughter in 3 weeks. And then she said something I'll never forget: I needed to show up in fewer places so I could come home to one. From that day, she canceled a few things on her schedule. Once a week, she made space for one quiet dinner with her daughter. No phones, no TV, just time. And she told me she had never felt so peaceful. That's what Buddhism calls mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't just sitting in meditation or breathing deeply. It's stopping to ask, where is this action taking me? Is it pulling me closer to what matters or pushing me further away? You don't have to say no to everything, but you do need to be awake enough to choose on purpose. When you're clear about what truly matters, it becomes easier and gentler to say no to what doesn't. Not because you're cold, but because you've learned to protect what is precious. And sometimes the most precious thing is a quiet afternoon, an unfinished conversation, or simply time to breathe. Practicing mindfulness to say no with compassion. In Buddhism, mindfulness is the light that illuminates every action. When you say no mindfully, you're not reacting out of guilt, anger, or fear. You're responding with clarity because you know what truly nourishes you and what quietly drains your spirit. A friend once shared with me that she always said yes to babysitting her nephew every weekend. Even when she was exhausted or had work piling up, she would still say, "Sure," until one day she collapsed from burnout. It was during her hospital stay that she realized if she didn't learn to step back, she wouldn't be able to keep giving in a healthy way. Later on, she learned to say, "I love him dearly, but I need this weekend to rest. I can help next week." It was a gentle no born from real love, not silent resentment. So how can we learn to say no with compassion? Breathe before you respond. When someone asks for your time or help, don't rush to say yes. Pause. Take one deep breath and ask yourself, is this truly important to me right now? Check in with your body. Your body speaks truth. If you feel tightness, exhaustion, or heaviness at the thought of saying yes, it might be your inner wisdom telling you to say no. Speak from the heart. Don't just say no. Let the other person hear your sincerity. Try saying, "I really care about you, but I need time for myself. I want to help, but I don't have the energy right now." A compassionate no still holds connection, not disconnection. Meditate on your personal boundaries. Take a few minutes each day to sit quietly and reflect. What boundary do I need to strengthen today to protect my peace? When you bring mindfulness into the way you say no, something beautiful happens. You don't just protect your own energy, you create a healthier, more honest space in your relationships. Because real compassion always includes truth, and that truth may just be the most loving gift you can give. Saying no isn't selfish. It's a spiritual practice of self-respect. I know sometimes saying no is the hardest thing to do. It makes us feel different, especially in a world that keeps telling us, try harder, be generous, don't let others down. But here's the truth, it was never selfish. It was always a gift for you and for those who truly cherish you. If we never pause, we eventually break. If we keep saying yes to everything one day, we'll have nothing left to give. A teacup filled to the brim can hold no more, and a weary heart cannot truly love. That's what I learned, not from books or quotes, but from the quiet cracks in my own life. I used to believe that saying no was selfish. I was afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of being judged, until one day I realized not everyone will understand me, and not everyone needs to. The one who must understand is me. I need to know when my body's exhausted. I need to know when my mind is overwhelmed, and I need the courage to say I love you, but I need to take care of myself first. Ever since I learned to say no mindfully, I've become gentler, not just with others, but with myself. I now have time for what truly matters. I no longer live to please everyone. I live to be honest to myself and to life. If you've been feeling worn out, if you're tired of nodding to things that don't feel right, I just want you to know this. You have permission to choose differently. You have permission to say no, and you don't need to wait until you're completely drained to start learning how. Begin with small things, a kind refusal, an evening with no plans, just silence, a gentle pause in your schedule. To breathe. Saying no isn't about closing off the world. It's about opening a door to simplicity, to peace, to a deeper kind of love for yourself. And maybe, just maybe, as you learn to say no with love, you'll come to see that